hear all kinds of numbers. I don't know how you could know anything from 500 million to 1 billion believers in Islam. I don't know where you would mark it. Some would put it closer to the billion than 500 million. Islam is a word that means surrender. It means submission. And the idea is that Islam is surrender to the will of Allah. And the will of Allah is revealed. It's not an unknown thing. The will of Allah is revealed through His prophet Muhammad. And the revelation from Allah is written down in the holy book called the Quran. A Muslim is one who submits to the will of Allah. Now, without getting into all of the theology of Islam, let me just give you some things to think about so you'll understand the theological underpinnings. There are 6 basic articles of faith in Islam. If we were going to put an Islamic doctrinal statement together, it would look like this. 1, Allah is the one true God. Allah is the one true God. He is not a trinity. And He is not the God of the Old Testament, and He's not the God of Christians. He is Allah, the one true God. 2, the Quran is the most holy book. There are other holy books, holy to some degree, but the Quran is the most holy book. 3rd, Muhammad is His greatest prophet. Allah sent, according to Islamic literature, 124,000 prophets, Jesus being one. But Muhammad is the greatest prophet. Number 4, there are many angels, demons, and there is a Satan called Iblis or Shaitan. Number 5, Allah has predetermined all things by unchangeable decree. Allah is absolutely sovereign, and everyone's destiny is predetermined by Allah. And number 6, there will be a day of judgment when all will find out whether they go to heaven or to hell. And the criteria for that is the absolute decision of Allah, which may or may not be influenced at all by human beings, but you ought to do good works because they might help. No guarantee. Absolutely none. No Muslim knows for sure in this life where he's going. It's all predetermined by Allah. And on the scale of life, good things weigh heavy and bad things weigh light, and it doesn't hurt to weigh heavy on Allah's decision. But there are no guarantees. Those are the 6 basic articles of faith. Then there are 5 duties. They're called the pillars of Islam. These are required religious practices. Number 1, reciting the creed many times a day. And the creed is this: there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is His prophet. You recite that many times a day. The second duty, prayer 5 times a day. And these are prescribed prayers, written prayers, memorized prayers. And the 5 times a day are identified. If you live in the range of a mosque, if you've been to the Middle East, as I have many times, you see mosques, and there is rising from the mosque what is called a minaret. Have you seen that? And in the top of the minaret is a muezzin who calls at the exact times during the day for the 5 prayers. Third duty is to give to the poor. And all Muslims are taxed 2.5% of their income and their property, 1/40th of what they have for the poor. Number 4 is a month of fasting called Ramadan. Have you heard that word? That's a month of fasting. You say that's enough to wipe out a whole population, fasting for an entire month. How do they do it? The fast is you eat at night. You can't eat in daylight. And Ramadan commemorates the first revelation that came to Muhammad in the year 610 AD. When Muhammad was 40 years old, he received his first supposed revelation from God that is commemorated by Ramadan. Eating is allowed only at night and in the morning before dawn. And 5th, every Muslim must once in his life, unless it is utterly impossible by some restraint, make a pilgrimage to Mecca. That's essentially the practice and the theology. Now, let me just talk about that a little bit. You could sum up their theology in this way. God is one, not 3. The Quran says Christians who believe in the Trinity are infidels. Also, Allah only loves good people. He does not love sinners. Also, they teach that Allah is unknowable. He cannot be known. They teach that Jesus Christ was a man. He was not God the Son. And anyone who says Jesus is God, according to the Quran, is an infidel. A quote, any Muslim who believes that Jesus Christ is God has committed the one unforgivable sin called shirk, a sin that will send him to hell forever. You wonder why it's hard for a Muslim to come to Christ? Because he's been programmed his entire life that if you ever acknowledge Jesus as God, you're going to hell forever. That's spelled out. Further, their theology teaches Jesus didn't die on the cross because Jesus was a prophet of Allah, and Allah would never let that happen to one of his prophets. He didn't die on the cross, therefore he didn't rise from the dead, and nor is he ever coming back. They further teach that no one can have salvation but a Muslim. Even though a Muslim can't know he has it, he can have it in the end. God's going to send some to heaven, but no one who is not a Muslim is going to heaven. And this is so heartbreaking. Islam has no savior. No savior. They die not knowing where they're going. There is in the Muslim theology no atonement for sin, no sacrifice for sin, no propitiatory basis for forgiveness. Never forget a conversation with a man on an airplane who was a Muslim, and I said, do you sin? And he said, of course, all the time. And I said, well, what's going to happen to people who sin? God hates people who sin. They could go to hell. I said, why do you keep doing it? He said, I can't stop. And I said, do you have any hope? And this is what he said. I hope the God, that's what Allah means, the God, definite article. Allah, illah, Allah, the God. I hope the God will forgive me. And I said, why would he do that? He said, I don't know. No atonement, no basis of forgiveness, no Savior. We have a great message for them. There is a Savior.